Hello and welcome everyone to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host Liam, aka Himvar, and today I have a somewhat of a different video for you. I kind of just thought it'd be fun since I was thinking about videos I could make at the beginning of the new year, just like where I'm at in certain series, and I was thinking I would do one for where I'm at in my reading of the Forgotten Realms novels because I have a goal to read all of them, and it's not the end of the year yet, and so I was like, you know what, how about I just do a quick video on just my experience, rather, with the Forgotten Realms, like how I basically got myself into reading all the Forgotten Realms novels. This will be a different video because I'm not going to talk strictly about books, actually. So I just really want to start with my first experience with the Forgotten Realms, at least as far as I remember. So I did play a lot of Forgotten Realms games. Of course, there's the Baldur's Gate games and Neverwinter Nights. But the big one I really played when I was really young was Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, which is the console spin-off kind of the Baldur's Gate games. These are loads of fun. In fact, I was just playing this again a few months ago. And there's two of them. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2 as well, which I didn't get for the video because this is really the one I played a lot when I was a kid. Now this is my Xbox copy because I have an Xbox these days, but back in the day I actually played this on the PS2 when I had a PS2 growing up, and so this would have been, I don't know, when did this game even come out? Let's see if it says. Is there a copyright date? It says 2003 as well as 2002, so probably 2003, somewhere around there. And Baldur's Gate, of course, is in the Forgotten Realms. There's even Baldur's Gate books. I haven't read them yet, but I really loved playing Dark Alliance. It's so fun. There's a spiritual successor that came out in 2020 or 2021 or something called just Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance. Not nearly as good as these games. Mostly because the lore is garbage. But anyways, not that the lore is great in this case either, but I don't care so much, at least when I was younger. And so because this is you start in Baldur's Gate, you can play as this elf sorceress or this human, I think he's a ranger, maybe he's a fighter, and then this dwarf fighter. So I never really played as the sorceress at all, actually, but mostly played as the dwarf. It's just fun. It's just really fun. I mostly used cheats when I was younger, and I didn't know what the Forgotten Realms was. I mean, there's the Forgotten Realms logo up here on the top, and I didn't know what the Forgotten Realms was. Right, this is based off the 3rd edition of the game, I think, maybe 3.5. I think it's based off 3rd edition though, and it was just a lot of fun, right? And so I had good memories with Baldur's Gate, hence why I got a copy when I got my original Xbox. And I was like, okay, well, I like Baldur's Gate. I didn't really recognize what Forgotten Realms was, even when I was much older, until around the time Neverwinter came out. I played this on the Xbox, so the game came out in 2013, I think, but it came out on the Xbox shortly after that as well. So I played the closed beta on the Xbox One, that is. And Neverwinter, not to be confused with Neverwinter Nights. I played some Neverwinter Nights as well, just not as much. But Neverwinter, the MMO, was one of the first MMOs I really got into after falling out of love with a RuneScape. So if you don't know, I did a review for one of the RuneScape novels, actually, and I played a ton of RuneScape growing up. But I kind of stopped around 2012. And so in 2014, maybe 2013, I started playing a lot of Neverwinter. There is no physical copy as far as I'm aware for this game, or at least I don't have one, so I'll probably put a picture up here, hopefully. And I am a sucker for stories. Especially when there's a game that has a vast amount of content, I just get overwhelmed with the content generally, and I find myself playing very little. For example, I played Skyrim for 2 hours because the story didn't grip me at that point, and I just, open world's just too much for me. So I can play an RPG, something like Fable, because it's rather linear in a lot of sense, but anyways, Neverwinter, though, had this really cool story, and that's probably because I like the Forgotten Realms. and I mean it takes place in Neverwinter, which is north of Baldur's Gate, way up the Sword Coast. But it was really fun. It was also a 4th edition game, so 4th edition is known for having pretty garbage lore compared to 1st to 3rd edition's lore. 5th edition's lore is pretty awful too, in my opinion, which is obviously the right opinion. But anyways, Neverwinter was a lot of fun though, and so I played that a little bit in 2014, and then when I was 2 years there, I didn't play any game from 2015 to 2017, and then when I got back to playing games 2017, I played a lot more of Neverwinter, even so much where I named a character after the first book I read in the Forgotten Realms. So in 2017, I read my first Forgotten Realms novel, which is the next part in my Forgotten Realms journey, and this is probably the most important one. I read this novel right here, Brimstone Angels. I read it digitally, actually, because these physical copies are ridiculously expensive. This one's beat all to hell, and it still cost me a stupid amount of money. This is by Aaron M. Evans, recently came out with Empire of Exiles. This is a great novel. It's kind of YA as far as, Forgotten Realms novels go, but this is a great novel about tiefling twin sisters, and I'm a twin, so this really, suckered me in, because I guess I'm a sucker for that trope, which admittedly isn't used that much in adult fantasy. I don't feel like, at least not in a heartfelt sort of way. I don't know. Maybe I don't feel like I see it that much in adult fantasy or sci-fi. But yeah, anyway, so I really like Brimstone Angels. There are 5 other books in the series, and I read all 5 of those, and then I was like, I really like Neverwinter. Now, I like the idea of Brimstone Angels. I thought that sounded cool, but if you look at the top here, actually, it says a Neverwinter novel. It kind of is. It takes place in Neverwinter, but the rest of the books don't. And then I found there was one other that was technically a Neverwinter novel, and that was Cold Steel and Secrets by Rosemary Jones, who is also a great author. I've read a few of her D&D novels, Forgotten Realms novels, and one of her not Forgotten Realms novels, which I also did a review of, which is Mask of Silver. Anyways, and then I was like, okay, are there any other Neverwinter novels specifically? And then I found out there are by R.A. Salvatore, which is where I get my mixed experience, my weird relationship with Salvatore's writing. Because I picked up Gauntlgrim, which I didn't pull out, I still have it, which is the first book in the Neverwinter saga. It's 4 novels. The second one's called Neverwinter. And I didn't enjoy it at all. I didn't get super far into it, but I was like, I realized it was 20-something in the Legend of Drizzt, but I had been told that I could start there. I could technically start at the beginning of any of those sub-series. I disagree. That was a terrible place to start. I had no clue who any of these characters were. He wasn't explaining himself, and it just was kind of dumb. So anyways, so I put that down, and then I think it was a few months after that, then I went and read, since I had tested Evans and Jones, though, I read their other novels, or at least their other novels from the Ed Greenwood Presents Waterdeep series. So I read The Godcatcher by Evans and The City of the Dead by Jones, which are both phenomenal novels in my opinion. And then I was like, okay, so I like these guys now, and I was like, I guess I should probably try out Drizzt, and so that's when I read Homeland. And I'm now reading book 12 of Drizzt, and that was a while ago. So I read Homeland in 2018, and so it was right around the time though that I read The Godcatcher, that I was like, I played tabletop role-playing games since I was 15 or so, but they were mostly Star Wars. And I played a little bit of Pathfinder, and I was like, we should play Dungeons and Dragons. 5th edition was getting pretty popular then. 5th edition's not my favorite way to play at all, not anymore, but at the time I had never played it. So I got the Player's Handbook, which is, here it is, and my younger brother, got the starter set, which I also have a copy of right here, but I bought this later. And we played Lost Mines of Phandelver, which takes place near Neverwinter again, so which was quite fun. I really enjoyed it. Anyways, so we played a decent amount of D&D though in 2018, and then going into 2019, and I was reading some Dungeons and Dragons novels throughout that time. It was in, 2018, for example, I finished the first 6 Drizzt novels, I think. and I slowed down my reading late in the year because I was dating my wife and we were getting more serious, and in 2019 I ended up getting married, and so it was about, my reading slowed down a lot in 2019. I read way less than I normally do, but more than most people still, right? Because most people don't read at all. But then it was in 2020 though, after we had our youngest daughter. It was early 2020, right before the pandemic, and I was with her a lot. I mean, I was still working and I was in school even, but I just found myself holding her a lot and rocking in the rocking chair that's right over there, actually. And so I was like, and I found myself in a Forgotten Realms mood at the time as well, because I was listening to this podcast by the long-winded one, so who was doing adventures in Sembia, or was about to, maybe. I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember entirely. But then I was like, you know what? Let's do this bloody dumb idea of reading all the Forgotten Realms novels. Because at the time I had read, maybe like 30 or something. This was like late February, I think. It was like right as the pandemic happened. So, you know, a lot of people make those weird life-changing decisions, right, when the pandemic happened. Like, a lot of people probably started booktube channels around that time. I was like, I'm going to read all the Forgotten Realms novels. And just for those unaware, there's like 300. So to bring it up to date, I have read over 70 now, but even then, that's not that's not a huge amount. But anyways, it's cool though for me to reminisce, to think back when I was a kid playing Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance in the Forgotten Realms, of course, and then reading my first novel set in the Forgotten Realms with Brimstone Angels, and then playing in the Forgotten Realms for the first time, you know, with the starter set, Lost Mines of Phandelver. And it's just a fun world. I mean, like, it's a world that I associate with cozy fantasy in a sense. It's actually, you can actually kind of see probably a lot of what I like just by looking at the Forgotten Realms, because the Forgotten Realms is high magic sword and sorcery in a sense, right? Sword and sorcery is normally pretty low magic, and so it's like, oh, take sword and sorcery and pump it up with high magic, and so you get something very different, but you can still see a lot of it there. And so actually my love of Forgotten Realms is what turned me on to sword and sorcery in the first place, and I just like reading Forgotten Realms novels now, and like, of course, playing in Forgotten Realms. And I used to write fan fiction in Forgotten Realms because they don't take any fiction, at least right now. They cut off their fiction line. And, you know, someday maybe I can write for the Forgotten Realms. That'd be awesome, if they could bring that stuff back. But it's just cool to me now because, like I said, it's like, it is my cozy fantasy. I know there's like Legends and Lattes and there's Windgraph Magazine, which are cool things. I definitely am not trying to knock those at all, but I think a lot of the things to do with cozy fantasy is really just what makes that person feel cozy. And so, like, Forgotten Realms has a lot. It has like this tie to sword and sorcery, but it also has some feeling, like attachment, like more I don't know, heartfelt feelings that I kind of associate with something like Tolkien's works as well. Like Ed Greenwood, who's the creator of the Forgotten Realms, actually is really good at making me cry, for example. So yeah, anyways, it's just, I guess, my little experience of starting in the Forgotten Realms. I could go on for hours, honestly. I mean, considering I've read 70 novels, I've played quite a bit in it. If I know I do an okay amount of videos on the Forgotten Realms. If any of you have started the Forgotten Realms, which I know some of you have actually, how is that going? I know some actually started with like publication order, or like the first series, which I haven't even read yet, which is Darkwalker on Moonshay and those sequel books. But yeah, anyways, I love the Forgotten Realms. There's some stinkers in there, of course, for novels, but most of them I come to enjoy, largely because they just let me know more about Faerun and Toril as a whole, of course, which are the settings for the Forgotten Realms, of course. But anyways, yeah, sorry, this is kind of rambly, kind of story-timey thing, but it's definitely different than the rest of my content. But it's been Liam's Lifestyle. I'll catch you next time.